WFNZ.
News Talk 640 WFNZ. We got the mayor in here, Mitch Colvin, who is live. We wanted you to come in. You normally come on a Thursday. This is Tuesday, but there's a lot been going on about the 911 center. So I've got you there. I'm going to take your name down and bring up a slate that has, if you're watching us on the podcast here on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel, and we've got Kirk deVIEVER. Kirk, are you there? I pushed the button to see if you're on the phone. Are you there, Kirk?
I am. Good morning.
Yes, Kirk is the chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, and the reason we wanted you guys to come here is just to bring us up to date on where we are on the 911 call center and the involvement with McGinnis, Representative McGinnis, who said, hey, we got to get this done. Who wants to start off? Kirk, you want to give us where you are?
Or the mayor. He's in the studio. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning. Good morning, Kirk. So yesterday we first let me say we thank Senator McGinnis for having enough concern with Cumberland County and leaning into this. We can look back and see how all this happened, but I think where we are now, we thank him for that, and most of all, thank him for giving us the opportunity to kind of have a conversation about it, to do it in a proper way that doesn't cause any adverse consequences here for our public safety. And then secondly, he and I talked, Kurt and I talked to him yesterday. We told him that we had made a lot of progress for 7 days, 17 people, 2 boards, the 48-hour notice for meetings. I think we moved pretty quickly to get 95% of the way. And I think we're a lot closer, and he agreed to give us another week and a half or 8 or 9 days to talk about it. So we'll talk about the specifics of it today, but that's where we are.
Okay, and Kirk, you're been involved with this, and you always say 222 days. We're not rushing through this process. Where are you in terms of where you think we are with the process of making this happen?
Yeah, I think to what the mayor said, our boards have talked more in the last couple of weeks around this issue. We've made more progress than we've seen in a long time. So, I think we just continue to work through the final differences in the 2 resolutions that we've laid out and where the 2 boards are. And I think we're extremely close, and I think we'll get there.
What, Kirk, what's the stickler for you? The 2 different resolutions, where do they differ?
I think where they fundamentally differ is we agree on the operational framework. We agree on timelines to put integrator in, to put an MOU in place, a memorandum of understanding. I think where some of the sticking point continues to be that has been for the last probably 20 years has been around the administrative lead. And that, again, we define what that administrative lead is. But I think that's where it continues to be. And one of the things that the county put in the last resolution is we would ensure there's some guardrails for that administrative authority. So we'd ensure there's accountability, there's a review, and try to give some safeguards.
The stickler for everyone is, and for those of you who are not familiar with this, and I don't know how you could not be if you've lived in this county for some time, we've been talking about consolidating the 911 centers between Fayetteville, city proper, and then also the non-incorporated communities within Cumberland County, so that everybody's on the same page when it comes to making a 911 call. And the mechanics seem to be there, as both the mayor and the chairman of the county commissioners say, to make the operational function of it good for the city. And now it's just who's going to be issuing the paychecks. I think the bottom line is what happens to the employees who are combined. Mr. Mayor, you want to kind of give us a sense of this? Because now you have county employees or cities, they become city and county, or how does that work?
Well, 2 things. One, I think Chairman hit it that we committed to pretty aggressive timeline to say within 30 to 45 days of an agreement, we will choose an integrator. We've done that in the past, and the city and the county have both paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for an integration company to come in and give us their recommendation. 2 is that after that, we will, after he's identified or this company's identified, then we'll move into the implementation of whatever they amount of time they estimate it will be. And I think 36 months, we would have full operations. Where the city is and what's different is I asked my board, and they were unanimous on that, to let's say that let's not make the mistakes of previous councils and commissions to where you pay a professional for their opinion, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you don't follow their recommendation. So we will commit on the front end to follow the recommendation. What that does, it makes us accountable to the public for the timeline. It makes us accountable to the public for the things that they do. And if out of that recommendation, after they assess our situation, they say the county's the lead agency, the city council has said we'll accept that. But in the event that they say that the city, based on the factors of your situation, should be the lead agency, we said, county, will you accept that? And they did not do that. And so you go in here with a preconceived notion that you have to have a certain result, not necessarily what lines up with what the best interest of the community, according to this professional we've both paid, that you basically say that we have to start and tell the professional the result that we want. For one case in point, if you don't do this right, the CALIA, which is the accreditation service that both of us have, the city is CALIA has written us and said that if the city of Fayetteville remains the administrative entity over 911, you will retain your current accreditation status. If the county becomes the administrative body, the county will be required to enter into a new contract with CALIA and independently begin a new accreditation process. So we've got thousands of dollars and years of investment into becoming accredited. And what this means is that as of March, only 900 police agencies, or 5% of the 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States and internationally, have this accreditation. Only 43 agencies, or less than 1/4% have this triad award, which includes international countries like Mexico and Canada. And right now, Winston-Salem is the only place in North Carolina. North Carolina State Highway Patrol will be the second, and Fayetteville will be the third, which we're set up to do that next year. All of that equity and investment will go away if we don't do this right.
Well, and Kirk, I wanted you to respond to that. First, could you go ahead and respond to that?
It's fine, and this doesn't need to be a back and forth. Look, I believe in our professionals. We both centers have accreditation. Both boards have agreed to ensure that we would reach the highest standards. So I am confident that whatever standards are set, the professionals that run, the ones that come together from the city and county, will achieve those accreditations. And those standards will remain at the highest level. Because what's important more than accreditation is that the residents in our community, when they dial 911, that they get the service they need in the most timely manner. Our professionals will ensure that those standards, accreditations, trainings, policies, procedures will be in place. The way that this runs operationally has never been a question. Both bodies believe and have said that we would reach the highest level of accreditation. We can go back and forth on that piece. This is always boiled down to who would be the administrative lead. Who's going to do the HR? Who's going to do the finance? Who's going to do the facility? Who's going to do the technology? So, I mean, again, I think for me, that's where we keep the level of focus. And our board has been clear that we don't believe that integrators determine who picks a lead agency. They study whether to consolidate and lay out governance options. They leave the operator and accountability choices to the elected officials. Accountability lies with elected officials.
Well,
in previous reports, while they may have given their opinion in discussions or in work groups, they have not laid out. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Well, the point I want to make about what you're saying there is the fact that the city has had a third party make an evaluation, and that third party has always said that the city should be the one who is the administrator. And now we have McGinnis.
Gilbert, let me clarify.
Okay, go ahead.
The integrator, we're going to point back to a 2017 Fayetteville Observer article where the consultant said that in a work group. It wasn't in a report. The report from 2017 actually lays out that we would be co-located.
All right, but here's the thing. I understand we can do apples and oranges here, go back to dates.
That's my point.
But the
That's
point
my
is,
point.
what?
Let's focus on the issue.
Well, but the issue right now
and
would
let
be.
the boards
but see,
decide.
But the point I want to make, and both of you can respond to this, is the fact that now we're saying we're going to have a third party come in and do an evaluation now, and that third party will say, we think in a report, not in some meeting, that the city or the county should be the one. And the question is, if this third party does this analysis and it says the city is the one who should do it, will the county go along with that?
And I've said, and I'll continue to say it, our board does not feel that an integrator should tell a elected body who's accountable for something. That is a decision by elected bodies. Again, consultants usually lay out governance options, how to consolidate, but they leave the operator and accountability to an individual.
Well, the
What
point
we're
is,
not going to do is have a third party dictate how we control. I'll give you this: if we on the front side says the city and the county shall use that word shall follow what the integrator says, what if the integrator says something neither one of us agree with, like hire a third party?
So here's the confusion or the conflict in that. One is both the city and the county have invested in the opinion of a third party consultant. Okay, neither the city nor the county have done this before. So the subject matter expertise is not there on either side. There's opinions. And if opinions have been what have kept us apart from doing this for the last 20 years, then let's take the opinions out of it and deal with the facts. You mean to tell me that the city and the county would invest for someone's professional assessment of our situation in this community to take all of our specific factors into account to be able to give us an opinion that we would ignore? Then that's wasting tax dollars, and that's saying basically that we want to cherry pick the things out of there. I think the fact that it was big for me to get the council to say there is a scenario that may say this is county run, we need 100% alignment behind that, and either board is going to have to do that. But when you start out with a preconceived notion about it, then that's not a negotiation. That basically is an ultimatum. And so, this is where we are. So, here's, speaking to, and I know that we've talked about this, but Fort Bragg's a big piece of this, right? It backs up for us. We've got contracts with them. We handle services for them. The county may have a backup arrangement with them as well. Talking to our federal delegation, congressional delegation, they want Fort Bragg at the table. McInnes didn't take that into account. He didn't take it into account, this accreditation process. He just said to Kurt and I just want it done. I don't care who leads it. I don't have a dog in the fight. So we sent our resolution up there to say, hey, both the federal congressional representatives like the whole idea of a third party, but they like Bragg. DCIP or DCPI grants were mentioned, which are federal dollars. So let's say we miss a step because we do something, or it takes us 2 or 3 years or 4 years to come back up to speed to get us accredited. Like Kalia said, is our community better off or worse off? When we could have done it in a way that laid this out, that there was no interruption in our accreditation or our access to grants.
Well, it seems like we can go back and forth on this stickler of an issue on deciding if a third party's recommendation is something that the city or the county will agree upon. And I don't see wasting taxpayers' dollars on seeking an opinion on something that we're not going to use.
But we need an integrator to tell us the process, how we would consolidate,
and we
to
just
make
have
sure we have
opinion.
a path for those accreditations.
But it seems it seems like for the past
make
20
sure
years,
we have a path for how we bring Fort Bragg to the table, which we agree to and recommend.
Well, I in talking with both of you, everyone's outlining their case on the fact that why they think the administration should be done by either the county or the city. The neat thing that I do hear in this, that both of you guys are saying that we have professionals. I've said this as well. We have a great EMS service here in the city and the county and at Fort Bragg that takes care of our citizens here. And now we're counting the beans on who's going to be writing the check and how the HR is going to work and all that stuff.
Well, it's a little more than check writing, and which is what we had to look back at this latest resolution, because it talks about major operational decisions, policies, and procedures. It talks about the commitment to make sure that our CAD systems are compatible with all the partners. And we haven't heard, it was mentioned a couple of times, I think Commissioner Tyson, that he wanted full alignment of the municipalities in the towns, because they, even though they're not writing a check, Fayetteville will carry 50% of this load. So, but they have some input in it. Their boards haven't spoken. Their mayor signed a pledge to say that, they agree with it, but there's not an official resolution from their boards because some of their board members haven't had the opportunity to get up to speed. And so this was a lot to pack into 7 days, which is why I think Senator McInnes agreed that as long as we showed some progress, that we would keep working. But we have to bring all the stakeholders to the table.
So for both of you,
and we don't disagree. Let me just add in, and
Sure.
I think the mayor and I've had a conversation about in the municipalities. Yes, we have letters from the mayors because of the short time, so that we'd have some input. But we believe that input should happen. And I believe the mayor and I have agreed to say, and our boards want that input. And that comes at that MOU. So when we sign that MOU, the municipalities are at the table through that MOU process. And that's their input. And they sign it just like they have sales tax.
But to get there, they were at the table. And sales tax, I negotiated that deal.
Well, here's the thing. Both of you guys give me a timetable here in terms of McInnes has said, all right, we're going to get a little bit more. When's the next city council meeting, and when's the next time you guys, Mitch, will take this? And same questions for you, KIRK. Mitch, how's it work for you?
July 8th, we have to have something back to him by, so we'll schedule a number of special meetings if need be to get our working group back together, which would be my recommendation versus all 17. I think we get the subcommittee back. We see if we can get some alignment on these 2 or 3 critical points, and then we'll probably need time to have a full board meeting to bless the entire thing. So we've got a pretty aggressive timeline, and you have 4th of July line in the middle of all this.
KIRK, how about for you with the county?
Yeah, so we're trying to give the city some time. We've got to look at our resolution, to look at ongoing conversations. We set a special meeting for July 2nd in the afternoon as a placeholder to give us a vehicle to have those public conversations, some feedback from the city based on our resolution and ongoing discussions.
Okay, so we got timetables in place in terms of meetings to discuss this. Any more input from the public going to be generated, or is this now just the boards and the council going to take care of this?
To me, I think, you always want to hear from the public, and certain citizens are trying to educate themselves on it, because this really wasn't an issue that we had a public discussion. It was something that the electors wanted to get done. And of course, the way we got here, it's kind of got moved up on all of our calendars. But I think that always hearing from the citizens is good. I've talked to a few who want to understand it, so we'll continue to educate them. But then this is going to be a policy decision that both boards are going to have to go in and say what's in the best interest of our community, which is going to be our main objective.
Well, look, we can't talk about this enough as far as I'm concerned, because it is about the safety of our citizens in the city and in the county. And again, we go back to the fact that we've, over Matthew and Florence and all the times where we've had to consolidate our efforts to take care of our citizens, we've done a great job with that. So that part of this equation is really not the thing that's on the table. I don't care if you talk with Fire Chief Dove or Freddie Johnson or whomever who is at the head of the county or the city. Our folks are good at what they do. And so we have a lot of elements right there. Now this is just one stickler. Who's going to hang their hat to say, we're the agencies that write the paycheck and take care of the HR and make sure that the people
make the calls and make the decisions and choose to do contracts and
right now.
so
Hey, KIRK and Mr. Mayor, you both agree that our equipment and everything is up to snuff. We don't have any issues there.
No, there is.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, there's some miscommunication of the CAD systems. Our police department, when they gave us our public safety briefing, told us that they haven't been able to access data, which are calls for service, which is something that's reported out to every community watch because of an upgrade is needed, I think, on the county's end. But I think that is something that the city and the county need to make sure that there's always communication that's plugged in. And then again, what happens to Fort Bragg's ability to communicate with the software? Is there any drop of service there if they have a catastrophe in which they need to communicate?
And Kurt, for your part there, the county.
And I appreciate that. It was previously said that the CAD is down. The CAD is not down. The county's CAD system has remained operational. The issue that's being discussed is around the replication of data between the city and the county systems. It's not about the ability to receive calls or dispatch responders. The city and the county have been working together through software and hardware and the vendor that's also involved to resolve these issues. I just want to be clear, the CAD system is not down. But yes, to your point, we need to ensure we have the highest level, whether it's of technology, whether it's accreditation, standards, and we've committed to that. And that's part of what we've even said in the resolution that we sent back over. I think both the city and the county believe that as well.
Well, and here's the example I give. My computer at the office was too old for me to download ChatGPT. Okay, it said that your version of Windows doesn't work. So yes, my computer works, Windows works, but it will not work with ChatGPT. So an upgrade is needed for that CAD system for us and how we integrate with it, which we're paying 50 or 60% of, by the way, right? The city of Fayetteville pays them to host that. So we've got to get those kind of things aligned that I think are very important to agree on the front end, that if a third party comes in and says, highest level of whatever, then we've got to be committed. Both boards got to be committed to doing what they said.
All right.
And we've said we've involved, but we would work to that highest level of standards. So, I think we're trying to point to the CAD as, an example. We could also point and say, look what happened when we rolled your call center, the city's call centers over to the county this weekend. But we don't want to go tit for tat. This is about finding common ground and a pathway through this. And this is a decision by policymakers.
So look,
we're at the point.
All right, and lastly here, look, we kind of blew out some commercials and stuff because this conversation is important for us to have, and I want to let both of you go. No, you got to go to WIDU and get on there as well. Just lastly here, the county has an operation that's on Executive Place. The city's talking about building a building that's big enough to accommodate, and I'm sure, Kirk, you mentioned to me that the county would build what they need, and the Executive Place could be a backup. Last words on that in terms of no matter who becomes the administrator, what's the plan for having a place that's big enough to accommodate both locations? Kirk, you want to go first?
Sure. Again, as we both agreed to, we bring in an integrator to create that path forward. I think both entities need a primary backup. There's a way that we can grow together. Sometimes you start in that small house that you got when you first got married, and you grow out of it. I think that both boards, from what I've heard, are willing to work together to make sure that we have that primary location with a backup system or a backup location. And I think that can be part of the integrators' discussion in the path forward.
And Mr. Mayor?
And the county is willing to participate that from a capital standpoint.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, same thing. One, I think what we get out of this is we can't pick and choose what advice we're going to take from the integrator. We've interjected the integrator several times today and said that we're going to refer to them for this, that, and the other, but not the main thing. Two is, in the analysis that he used about when you first get married and starting a home, you do that. And you may start off with a 1-bedroom and you may have a convertible. But when you marry someone that has 3 children and you have 3 children, you don't get a 1 or 2-bedroom house and a convertible. That means you get a minivan and enough space. So I think the decisions we made have been reactionary, but we can't push a consolidation on here without a unified plan that has all scenarios taken into account so that we don't end up with an underserviced, underutilized space that then 5 or 10 years from now we're building again or stuck again. And so the city has looked to do this. We were at an airport yesterday touring LaGuardia. We saw that they have a base center of operations that looks like a call center. Tampa has their 911 call center close to their airport. So the FAA and them are all in alignment if there's a major catastrophe. And I think that we've got to think like that. And the area that the city looked at was in and around some of the acreage we have around land we already own at the airport. But there could be a way to bring in federal participation, federal dollars, as well as the county and our municipalities if we do it right.
All right. Once again, we're on a timetable here. We have Senator McGinnis, who has said you wanted by what time in July, his report?
July 8th, I think we have to have a...
July 8th. All right. Well, look, Kirk deVIEVER is the chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. Kirk, I appreciate you taking time out to give us a call and talk about this face-to-face with the mayor. And you guys do a great job at this anyway, in terms of collaborating. And I've said on several occasions when I've had you in here individually that this is the most collaboration I've seen between the city and the county since I've been here, since 1977. Yeah. And so it's good to have, and it's healthy conversation. Yeah. And neither one of you guys are afraid to be candid when you come on this show and as you talk about these issues, and we appreciate that for what you do. Last words?
And if I can, we got to work on the technology for FNC because I've got an awful echo and it's making me pause as I talk. But I will say, what the mayor and I continue to work through, we represent two different boards. But I will just say that, we've always continued to be respectful of each other in the working relationship that we have. And I'll continue to stay optimistic because it's not just a 911 that we need to work through. There's lots of opportunities for the county and the city to work in deeper relationships. And I believe that both the mayor and I are committed to that. And we talked about that when I first came on this board.
Well, look, I appreciate your range of ways in enduring the echo that you've heard, but you sound great on the air, and I'll send you a link to the podcast to prove that. But I know it can be disconcerting when you have an echo in your ear trying to, come up with good thoughts. So thank you, Kirk, for enduring our technical issues here. Mr. Mayor, same for you. I know you got to head over to WIDU. We appreciate you guys talking about this. Last word from you?
Yeah, no, I just appreciate it. And as Chairman said, we're committed to what's in the best interest of our community. These are legacy problems. Some of them we inherited in spite of, Lil Bill's assessment. He thinks that this started with me. I sent him an article from 2007 or 2017 when Nat Robinson and Jeanette Council were having this conversation. So we'll get it solved, but we have to go in it saying that citizens first approach. And then, each one of us will have to give up something that we're comfortable with, but work together to give the best product for our community.
All right. Well, look, both of you guys take care. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Mitch, I'll see you Thursday. You're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC. We've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS meteorologist Matthew Huddleston.
Mostly